Okay, what I want to show you is what the static charge, if you will, or positive and negative ions. As far as I'm concerned, it's accelerated gravity. The static charge of the ether, when you accelerate it beyond gravity, you get energy. Anyway, this compass points to the north of the Earth, which is that way. I want to show you what the electric current, accelerated gravity going through my electrodes, apparently just the last time I used it, the last time it hit. It shows this one is north, the tip of that one is north, and the tip of the other one is south, if you notice that. Because the red part of the compass goes to the north pole of the Earth, so it's going to that is a north magnetization of that electrode. This side is opposite, which is south. But as I move along, it'll flip around again. It's north there and south there. And this one is reversed, north there and south there, if you notice. So this one's north and south, and this one's south and north. So that tells me, at least the last time it sparked anyway, it was going this way. It came out this one, the north side, the diverted side on a magnet, and it went in this side, like when you take electric current to make a magnet, whatever side the electric current goes in is your south. Wherever it goes out is the north. And like I showed in my other videos of electric currents on wires, like when you put coils in between in a wire and different coils along a DC current, the wire on the coil will show south, north, south, north, south, north. No matter how many coils you put in series in an electric current, a DC current, each end of the coil shows opposite south or north. But it's always the side where the electricity is coming in is the south, the side where the electricity is going out of the coil is the north. And it's doing the same thing here. The out end of this one is north, and the end of that one is south. So it went that way the last time it energized. And maybe that's the way it goes all the time. I don't know. I need a high-speed camera. But I'm going to fire it up and let it run and hold the compass here and see what kind of result we get doing that. And we'll do that next. I guess it's also possible that when I welded these balls onto these little bolts, you know, it's just a bolt with the head cut off, and I welded the ball bearings on the ends of them. Maybe when I welded it, it initially magnetized them, but they both should have been the same, because I would put my ground link on this end and then welded on this end, and same on both. So if that's what magnetized them, they should have been identical, rather than in the beginning, one was north here, south there, and this one was south here and north there. So I know I would have, or I did, hook my welder ground lead when I welded the same to both, so I don't think that's what caused the magnetization. But it could be, but I don't believe so, because I did not check these with the compass right after I welded them. But I don't think that did it, or they'd have been the same. You know, both balls would have been north back, or both balls would have been south back, you know, instead of opposite of each other. But them being opposite tells me the spark over the years has caused it to happen. Anyway, I wanted to throw that in there. Someone might have thought of that too. Okay, to disallow my thought of welding my electrodes, I took another piece of steel, another steel bolt, and I welded the end of it. About as much weld, about as much time with the, you know, electric current grounding to it, which I had the ground over here, and I welded on this end. And this is steel. As you can see, it sticks to the magnet. And it does not show any kind of real magnetization. If you see, the magnet really don't do a lot of turning. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe a little bit there on the hot end. It looks like a little bit of north. But, you know, it's not flipping. And I welded it just about as much as I did my electrodes. So I'm pretty sure that when I welded the ball bearings on the end of those bolts for my electrodes, that's not what magnetized them like we saw in the beginning of this video. So I want to disallow that the welding did it. So this should basically prove it. I welded this just like I did those, and it didn't change the magnetization of it hardly at all. Maybe a little bit on this end turned to north where the electricity, that's actually where I welded it, but Who knows why? Because it's not showing a south over here at all. So, go figure. Anyway, the welding on my electrodes is not what caused them to magnetize. And we'll move on. Okay, I've got a different compass here. It's my dad's World War II compass. It shows south and north, and the arrow is pointing north. That is north. But what I wanted to show you was, I took that bolt where I'd welded on the head before, and I welded on the other end. I clamped it on one end and welded this end, and clamped it on that end and welded this end. I put more weld. And what I found out is that just like when you make magnets, they either put a super heavy charge real quick into it, a big charge through it, or they put a charge through it over a period of time to make magnets magnetized. But to do it to steel is the same thing, except what happens is, if you notice, the south is attracted to that end. It moves with it, see? But it's not really magnetized that way, because if I pull it, let me try it again where it works. You'll see here in just a second. If I get the south to pull towards it and flip it around, then the north will pull to it too. So it doesn't really matter. It's magnetized, but it will pull towards either end. So it's like it'll pull either way. It's just pulling the magnetization, because it's steel. It's not really a magnet. And I'll do the same with this end. Notice how it grabs the south. But if I flip the magnet, spin it by moving it past it enough, get enough force, and I spin it around, trying to get it to do it. Actually, it will pull to the north side too, see? Either side, either one will pull. South or north. And either end of the bolt. South or north. So it magnetizes it to an extent to where it does pull on a magnet, but it doesn't really have a north or south because there's not enough. It's not the right material, these bolts. This one in particular, and maybe my electrodes were a better steel, but I think my electrodes, it was just so much time of me running the same nozzles on the same side, the same inductors, receivers, and electrodes in the same position for so many years with that charge going whichever way through, magnetize them in that particular direction where it would flip the magnet, see? This won't flip it. It just says both sides or ends are magnetized. And it's north or south. That one's north. And then this one's, you know, see what I mean? Pulls the north there, or it pulls the north there. And it does the same with the south. Pulls the south there, back and forth, or it pulls the south here, back and forth. So it's magnetized. This bolt from welding will magnetize it, but the electric current going through it, as the weld hits, you know, it's dispersing too much, and it's just magnetizing it just enough to mess with the compass. And then flip it around, it does the same thing. So it's like it's a double magnetized, but it doesn't really have a south and north magnetic orientation. Because it'll say that's in north, but then again that end's north. See how it pulls it over? Or that end will pull it over. And the south does the same thing. The south pulls with it, or the south pulls with it. So anyway, it's not the welding on my electrodes that magnetized them. It was the current going through them over a long period of time going the same direction. That's what I figured out. And that's what this was about. Okay, I've got it running. There was a spark. And we'll just see. No change. I did see it move. And that's interesting because it looks like the spark's going from right to left, but it must be magnetizing these the opposite. Because the left one is showing a north and the right one is showing a south, unless my compass is backwards. But the red of the needle always points to the north of the earth, so I don't know why my compass would be backwards. But anyway, so now I'm going to swap my electrodes around and see if that doesn't change things to reverse. Okay, without the wires hooked up, I've swapped them. Now this side is showing south and that side is showing north. And I have no wires hooked to them, so I reversed my electrodes. If you notice, it's opposite than it was a while ago. Now I'm going to hook the wires up and get it to spark. And we'll see if that makes any change in anything. Wires are hooked. Spraying out. Spraying out real big. And it's staying the way it was. North on the right, south on the left, and it was reversed a while ago when I had the electrodes reversed. So I don't know if possibly one mass of one electrode is more, always causing the spark to go that same direction. Because the only thing I've changed is the electrodes, but yet they don't change polarity. So I'm not sure what's causing that. Very curious. Okay, I took my electrodes to my my microwave transformer and demagnetized them. If you notice, I mean, it may be a little bit there, but they really don't show a lot. You see that? It moves a little, but it's not near as powerful as it was. This right one might be a little more, but I couldn't get it all out of it. I don't know why. But anyway, I've knocked the magnetization way down, if not out of the left one and way down on the right one. So I want to see what that does by running the system now and see what happens. Okay, it's running. Getting a lot of fray, so far no spark. Little one there. And it's sparking. But it's really not changing the magnetization of them. I'm thinking that over a period of time, I've ran these electrodes for a couple of years without ever doing this, figuring out if they're magnetized or not. And maybe all that period of time is what it took to magnetize them, like you saw in the early, just a minute ago. Like I said, this one over here still got a little bit to it. I couldn't get it all out. I don't know why. But this one doesn't show much of anything. The left one. The right one shows just a little flip, see? It's not real prominent like it was before. So anyway, I thought maybe that would make this other one magnetize some with that spark going through. And I'm getting a great big fray and popping down. This one's showing south still. It's not getting much there until I move over here. It's not getting hardly anything at all on this left one. And this is the way it was originally set up. I've swapped them back and forth. I never did mark them left and right, A, B, 1, 2, whatever. I just moved them around. Never took this into consideration before, that the charge running through them may be magnetizing them. See, this one's not flipping near like it was. Well, I guess it does. Yeah, it's still flipping around though. But this one just kind of stays neutral. Real neutral. Anyway, I think it was over the years of me using these, and that juice apparently always going one way through them for whatever reason, and I never swapped them that often. Not in the beginning. For a couple of years, I never swapped them. Never thought I needed a chance to, but the more I've experimented with this Lord Kelvin's Thunderstorm setup of mine, I've started swapping the electrodes around. But before that, they ran sparks like you're seeing, big ones, little ones, whatever I got going, the same setting. Whatever electrode was on whatever side, stayed that way for a couple of years until I just started swapping them maybe a year ago, 6 months ago. Anyway, so it doesn't do it immediately. There's not enough charge there to remagnetize this one. Like I said, I took it onto my microwave transformer and demagnetized it, which, if you haven't seen that video on continuity, conduction, and magnetism, you can see how to use a transformer to magnetize and demagnetize screwdrivers, any kind of metal small enough for it to work on. I mean, up to probably a crowbar. You might even be able to magnetize a crowbar or something, a small one. Anything smaller. It's got to be the right kind of steel, though. But anyway, thought that was kind of wild. I guess over the years, they magnetized from me using a certain setup with one on the left, one on the right for years and years of the charge going through. And I'm guessing that the particular inductor and particular receiver on one side made it north, always shooting that way. The charge is always going a certain direction, which is why they magnetized opposite of each other. Anyway, thought that was kind of cool too.